Caitanya-caritāmṛta kenangena salakaya sakshurmilitanyena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Mahavaļaņāya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurātase Namaha. Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Rereading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Chapter 2, The Ecstatic Manifestations of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Text 1. While relating in synopsis from the last division of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in this chapter I shall describe the Lord's transcendental ecstasy, which appears like madness due to his separation from Krishna. O glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, O glories to Lord Nityananda, O glories to Advaita Chandra, O glories to all the devotees of the Lord. During his last 12 years, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always manifested all the symptoms of ecstasy in separation from Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's state of mind, day and night, was practically identical to Radharani's state of mind when Uddhava came to Vrindavan to see the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would also run very fast across the sandhills, mistaking them to be Govardhan. As he ran, he would wail and cry loudly. Sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mistook the small parks of the city for Vrindavan. Sometimes he would go there, dance and chant, and sometimes fall unconscious in spiritual ecstasy. The extraordinary transformations of the body due to transcendental feelings would never have been possible for anyone but the Lord, in whose body all transformations were manifest. The joints of his hands and legs would sometimes become separated by 8 inches, and they remained connected only by the skin. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's hands, legs and head would all enter within his body, just like the withdrawn limbs of a tortoise. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to manifest wonderful ecstatic symptoms. His mind appeared vacant, and there were only hopelessness and disappointment in his words. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to express his mind in this way: "Where is the Lord of my life, who is playing his flute? What shall I do now? Where shall I go to find the son of Nanda Maharaj? To whom should I speak? Who can understand my disappointment? Without the son of Nanda Maharaj, my heart is broken." In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always expressed bewilderment and lamented in separation from Krishna. At such time, he used to read the shlokas from Ramananda Roy's drama known as Jagannath Vallabha Nataka. Srimati Radharani used to lament, "Our Krishna does not realize what we have suffered from injuries inflicted in the course of loving affairs. We are actually misused by love, because love does not know where to strike and where not to strike. Even Cupid does not know of our very weakened condition. What shall I tell anyone? No one can understand another's difficulties. Our life is actually not under our control, for youth will remain for 2 or 3 days and soon be finished. In this condition, O Creator, what will be our destination?" Srimati Radharani spoke thus in distress due to separation from Krishna. "Oh, what shall I say of my distress? After I met Krishna, my loving propensity sprouted, but upon separating from him, I sustained a great shock, which is now continuing like the sufferings of a disease. The only physician for this disease is Krishna himself. but he is not taking care of this sprouting plant of devotional service. What can I say about the behavior of Krishna? Outwardly, he is very attractive, like a young lover, but at heart he is a great cheat, very expert in killing others' wives. Srimati Radharani continued, lamenting about the consequences of loving Krishna. My dear friend, I do not understand the regulative principles given by the Creator. I loved Krishna for happiness, but the result was just the opposite. I am now in an ocean of distress. It must be that now I am going to die, for my vital force no longer remains. This is my state of mind. By nature, loving affairs are very crooked. They are not entered with sufficient knowledge, nor do they consider whether a place is suitable or not, nor do they look forward to the results. By the ropes of his good qualities, Krishna, who is so unkind, has bound my neck and hands, and I am unable to get relief. In my loving affairs, there is a person named Madan. His qualities are thus. Personally, he possesses no gross body, yet he is very expert in giving pains to others. He has 5 arrows and fixing them on his bow. He shoots them into the bodies of innocent women. Thus these women become invalids. It would be better if he took my life without hesitation, but he does not do so. He simply gives me pain. If you say that Krishna is an ocean of transcendental qualities and therefore must be merciful someday, I can only say that he is like fire which attracts flies by its dazzling brightness and kills them. Such are the qualities of Krishna. By showing his transcendental qualities, he attracts our mind, and later, by separating from us, he drowns us in an ocean of unhappiness. In this way, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lamented in a great ocean of sadness, and thus he opened the doors of his unhappiness. Forced by the waves of ecstasy, his mind wandered over transcendental mellows, and in this way he would read another verse as follows. My dear friends, unless I serve the transcendental form, qualities and pastimes of Sri Krishna, all my days and all my senses will become entirely useless. Now I am uselessly bearing the burden of my senses, which are like stone blocks and dried wood. I do not know how long I will be able to continue without shame. Oh, what use are eyes if one does not see the face of Krishna, which resembles the moon and is the birthplace of all beauty and the reservoir of the nectarian songs of his flute. Oh, let a thunderbolt strike his head. Why does he keep such eyes? Purport. The moon-like face of Krishna is the reservoir of nectarian songs and abode of his flute. It is also the root of all bodily beauty. If the eyes of the gopis are not engaged in seeing the beautiful face of Krishna, it is better that they be struck by a thunderbolt. For the gopis to see anything but Krishna is uninteresting and indeed detestful. The gopis are never pleased to see anything but Krishna. The only solace for their eyes is the beautiful moon-like face of Krishna, the worshipful object of all senses. When they cannot see the beautiful face of Krishna, they actually see everything as vacant, and they desire to be struck by a thunderbolt. They do not find any reason to maintain their eyes when they are bereft of the beauty of Krishna. My dear friends, please hear me. I have lost all providential strength. Without Krishna, my body, consciousness and mind, as well as all my senses, are useless. Topics about Krishna are like waves of nectar. If such nectar does not enter one's ear, the ear is no better than the hole of a damaged conch shell. Such an ear is created for no purpose. The nectar from the lips of Lord Krishna and his transcendental qualities and characteristics surpass the taste of the essence of all nectar, and there is no fault in tasting such nectar. If one does not taste it, he should die immediately after birth, and his tongue is to be considered no better than the tongue of a frog. One's nostrils are no better than the bellows of a blacksmith, if he has not smelled the fragrance of Krishna's body, which is like the aroma of musk combined with that of the bluish lotus flower. Indeed, such combinations are actually defeated by the aroma of Krishna's body. The palms of Krishna's hands and the soles of his feet are so cool and pleasant that they can be compared only to the light of millions of moons. One who has touched such hands and feet has indeed tasted the effects of a touchstone. If one has not touched them, his life is spoiled and his body is like iron. Lamenting in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened the doors of grief within his heart. Morose, humble and disappointed, he read the verse again and again with a despondent heart. Purport. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the word danya, humility, is explained as follows. When unhappiness, fearfulness, and the sense of having offended combine, one feels condemned. This sense of condemnation is described as dinata, humility. When one is subjected to such humility, he feels bodily inactive, he apologizes, and his consciousness is disturbed. His mind is also restless, and many other symptoms are visible. The word nirveda is also explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One may feel unhappiness and separation as well as jealousy and lamentation due to not discharging one's duties. The despondency that results is called nirveda. When one is captured by this despondency, thoughts, tears, loss of bodily luster, humility and heavy breathing result. Vishada is also explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. When one fails to achieve the desired goal of life and repents for all his offenses, there is a state of regret called Vishada. The symptoms of Vishada are also explained. One hankers to revive his original condition and inquires how to do so. There are also deep thought, heavy breathing, crying, and lamentation as well as a changing of the bodily color and drying up of the tongue. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 33 such destructive symptoms are mentioned. They are expressed in words, in the eyebrows and in the eyes. These symptoms are called vyabhichari bhava, destructive ecstasy. If they continue, they are sometimes called sanchari or continued ecstasy. If by chance the transcendental form of Krishna comes before my path of vision, my heart, injured from being beaten, will be stolen away by Cupid. Happiness personified Krishna. I could not see the beautiful form of Krishna to my heart's content. When I again see his form, I shall decorate the faces of time with many jewels. So we stopped here for today and continue tomorrow. Jai, Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya-līlā, Chapter 2, the ecstatic manifestations of Lord Chaitanya. Ki Jai. Jai. Śrīla Kṛṣṇadāsa, Kavirāja, Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad, Śrīla Bhakti Vedanta, Swāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ecstasy. But actually, I see, we read that before, right? Yeah.
It's good to repeat it.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. We can read it again and again. It doesn't matter. Then we read from the Loving Search for the Lost Servant by His Divine Grace Śrīla Bhakti Rakak Siddhadev Gosvāmī Maharaj. And we are page.
A new section there.
Is in a new section, yeah. Page 9. And it is from the Planets of Faith, chapter, Planets of Faith. Go deeper, go higher. In his talks with Ramananda Roy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu repeatedly says, Eho Bhaya Achikaha Ara. Go further, go deeper, go higher. There are so many who consider their position to be the highest, who, achieving a particular stage, stop there. But we find in Sanatana Goswami's Brihad Bhagavatamrita how Gopa Kumar, beginning from the lowest stage of devotional service, gradually makes progress through different levels and at last comes in the Krishna conception, in the mellow of friendship, Sankhya Rasa. There it is described how he gradually eliminates one stage and makes further progress to the highest stages of devotion. As he progresses from one level to the next, everyone seems to be very helpful to him, but gradually their company seems to him to be stale. At that time, a higher chance is given to him through an agent of divinity, and leaving that plane behind, he goes to a new and higher plane. In this way, he progresses. In this way, the progress of dedication is shown in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Higher light. Just as in the tangible world, there is the sun, the moon, and so many other planets, in the world of faith, there is a gradation of planetary systems. We have to scrutinize the scriptures, take advantage of the guidance given by the saints, and understand how the progress of faith to the highest plane is achieved by eliminating the lower planes. And whenever there is any doubt, we should consult with some higher agent in order to make progress. Spiritual reality is eternal existence, complete consciousness, and ecstasy. Mere existence cannot fulfill us. Even our inner hankering and feeling, consciousness is not sufficient. We require rasa and ananda, ecstasy, to give us fulfillment. Excuse me. Spiritual realization is also of different types. We have to distinguish between different spiritual conceptions, and our choices improve as we dive deeper and deeper into reality. We must die to live, and the consideration of death is also deep, deeper and deepest. The gradation of higher and lower is always there. Last week I saw a quote from Śrīla Guru Maharaj, and he says, we suffer from the disease of self-deception. Like, there's always something that our mind, of our consciousness comes in and we think this is it. And that I find it very interesting that is given here. Even in our death, we have to go deeper, deeper and deepest. Because we deceive ourselves, that we suffering from that disease. I thought that it was very helpful. Because I suffer from that. And the consideration of death is also deep, deeper and deepest. The gradation of higher and lower is always there. Important. If we are to progress, there must be elimination and new acceptance. The duties that we find ourselves in the midst of may be left for higher duties. In this way, we must progress while always consulting the saints and scriptures. They will guide us in the ocean of faith. Otherwise, the spiritual world is unknown and unknowable. The absolute truth is known and knowable to a particular section, and they have given us direction. If we take advantage of that, then by the guidance of saints and scriptures, we shall gradually eliminate our faults. First, we must eliminate this mortal existence. Then we must satisfy our reason, our consciousness. And finally, we must satisfy our heart. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the heart is the most important thing within us. We should follow the direction of the heart. The highest fulfillment is fulfillment of the heart, not the fulfillment of consciousness or the attainment of external existence. Eternal existence has no meaning if it is not consciousness, and consciousness has no meaning if it does not give any fulfillment. So Sat, eternal existence, Chit, consciousness, and Ananda, fulfillment, ecstasy, are the three principles of our ultimate destination. And considering these as our goal, we shall progress further and further in our spiritual life. In the Manu Samhita, it is stated, it's the last section, we can feel within our heart whether we are gainers or losers. That tasting machine is within us. As we progress in Krishna consciousness, our karma, our connection with this material world will evaporate in no time, and spacious knowledge will come to satisfy us. At that time, we shall feel the object of our life everywhere, Mayi Dristri Kilatmani. When we can see that the fulfillment of life has embraced us, we shall see that everything within the environment is helping us. Everything is sympathetic to us from all sides. In that spiritual domain, everyone shall take interest in loving us. We shall be careless about our own interest, but the environment there is more favorable and affectionate to us than we can even estimate. Just as a child cannot estimate the extent of his mother's affection, in this way, friends and home comforts will surround us, and with this realization, we shall go back to God, back to home. Very beautiful reading. I think I read in Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, that everybody there in the spiritual world, they take us on their lap and they kiss us. Oh, sweet. Maybe not Caitanya-caritāmṛta, somewhere from Guru Maharaj. That's the same, but here. Very important points. Jai. Jai, loving search for the lost servant. Ki Jai. Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīdhar Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. You want to add something, Ramananda Prabhu? Or Saraswati?
Very good point to start your day. Very auspicious,
Yeah.
profound teachings.
So, like, to go deeper in Krishna consciousness, he started off, we are thinking, oh, we. There's so much that we cannot see, and we deceive ourselves.
I could just add, I just remember that Bhakti-Bhagavatamritam is considered a continuation of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, because that was spoken by Parikshit Maharaj to his mother. So after Shukadev left the gathering, and Parikshit was waiting for Takshaka to arrive and bite him, Parikshit's mother, Uttara, was passing by, and she asked him, "Can you tell me what was the conversation about?" Because it was so. And then Parikshit says, "Well, I don't have so much time actually, and in a time before you die, it's the right thing is to keep silent. But since you requested that of me, I will share you what we spoke." And then he speaks of Bhakti-Bhagavatamritam to his mother, and that's basically in the gist Śrīmad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Well, there's some difference, because Śrīmad Bhagavatam is about Krishna, right? And the Brihad Bhagavatamrita is the stages where a devotee goes back to the spiritual world.
But that's how the Śrīmad Bhagavatam is structured.
What do you say?
That this is the way how Śrīmad Bhagavatam is structured. It prepares a devotee from.
There's some difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't spoken.
Jai.
It's like a tale. There's a gist. There's a gist of the tale, and then you can retell it in a different way, different form. But the gist is the same. So if you look at the structure of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, how it's structured, the appearance of different lordships, and the explanation of how is the earth, and more distant relationship with God, like Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Dasya, Vatsalya. So it's kind of like developing, so to say, and you can visualize it in a geographical sense. And in Bhakti-Bhagavatamritam also, Gopakumar, he's first Narada Muni, he's trying to understand who has a higher position, who gets the most mercy, and then he starts his trouble.
But there's one difference. The Śrīmad Bhagavatam is about Krishna, and the Brihad Bhagavatamrita is about Gopakumar.
Yeah.
That is, and we hear from the scriptures and from the saints, like the Śrīmad Bhagavatam is the cream of the cream. It's the top of all scriptures. Yeah, it's like, it speaks about how could we know all this ecstatic, lovely relationships that the Lord has with all his devotees, and how he goes to he also goes in the Śrīmad Bhagavatam to different planets and.
Yeah. Well, what Parikshit Maharaj tried to do, he tried to extract the gist and share with his mother the most important things he thinks. And so he, because Śrīmad Bhagavatam was quite lengthy, quite long, they were speaking for 7 days before, and in the end of the 7th day, when his mother comes, she wanted to get the gist. To say, she said, I'm a woman, I'm simple, I don't know so much. Can you just tell me the most important things I need to know? And then he speaks of...
And I also remember, like, because he had only 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj, but only a little moment with a pure Vaishnava, you can, and Parikshit Maharaj had that capacity and that essence. He could understand everything that Sukadeva Gosvāmī Maharaj said. So he could back to he was realized, because it would be very. I was always wondering, how could you be realized in 7 days, right? Before your death, what did Sukadeva Gosvāmī Maharaj say? But it is from both sides, and his consciousness was ready to receive the highest truth, and he had first, of course, association with the pure Vaishnava, and he could, in his realization, he could understand everything. He to become pure and go back to the...
Listening in the right mindset, he did not have any future.
What do you say?
He was listening in the right mindset. He didn't have any future.
Exactly.
And then Śrīdhar says, first you have to get rid of the animal consciousness. You have to get rid of the fear, thinking that you're going to lose something or that you're going to die. That you're going to die. And then slowly he
the fear that you're going to die.
Explain.
I was also realizing something last week, like we have our consciousness, but the consciousness is dynamic. The content of our consciousness is dynamic, because Krishna he's playing, and the consciousness for everybody comes from Krishna. Like it is all much more mysterious as that we every day actually realize. We are not the body, we're not all these cells and atoms in, what produces this body, but we are the consciousness, we are the soul, consciousness. But that consciousness contains many things, can be also faulty, because consciousness means also material consciousness and spiritual consciousness. So we have a content of consciousness that is dynamic, because Krishna is all the time with everybody, giving us this chance in the beginning. What we do with it, that can be Maya or Sukriti. But Krishna is always the magician who gives, okay, you are here with your consciousness, but there is so much more to go for, because it's dynamic. It's not like, oh, I surrender and I do this, and then it's like infinitely more. And that we read also a little bit today.
There is this distinction between Atma and Jiva, saying that Atma, there's a Brahma Jyoti, and there's Atmas, when the infinitesimal particles separate from Brahma Jyoti and acquire individuality, they're Atmas. But then they start playing a certain role or acting as someone, and then they become Jiva. So there's this Brahma Jyoti, Atma, Jiva, and then living entity. So it's a stages of conditioning.
But if the soul is in the Brahma Jyoti, right, in the slumber there, then what wakes the soul up to go back in the material world, right? That is the consciousness. So because you always have to have willing, feeling.
As soon as you realize the self as a separate from something out, that means that you're individual. And that individuality you get to that point because of the force which pushed you out of Brahman.
Yeah. But
the spiritual world.
Yeah, Śrīla Govinda Maharaj calls Jivatma. So he put the Jiva and Atma together. He says the Jiva-Atma.
Yeah, yeah. So it's...
so he makes no difference between the Jiva and Atma. He says Jiva-Atma.
Oh, technically there is. Because Atma, which has... acting, Atma which acts in some way, it's Jiva, because it has the ahankar, the acquired sense of self. So Atma is not man or woman, dog, cat. It's just an observer, separate observer from the Brahman. But once it acquires the ahankar and starts to act in a particular way, that's already Jiva, because it's acting, it's conditioned by who it think it is, which is illusion.
You say like the Jiva is the manifestation of the ego over the Atma.
Yeah, so it's if you take Atma and condition it with ahankar, then that Atma is Jiva, because it's acting as a result of its conditioning.
Okay.
So it's an active part of the world. But Atma is more like a...
Atma is a particle of Krishna.
Brahman.
Atma is a particle of Krishna. It is small, very small, but it is a particle of Krishna. And
but we're Tatashta.
Huh?
We're Tatashta. Tatashta is a border energy.
Yeah.
Krishna is...
Yeah. No, but the soul, like inside us, sometimes they say...
Paramatma.
No, they say like the Goloka Vrindavan is higher than us.
Us? Like...
Is higher, is even higher than the Atma, than the soul.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's beyond even Vaikuntha. It's a...
Yeah.
I think I was mentioning that it's so fine that even in Goloka Vrindavan there is no Atmas, because it's finer than Atma. Atma consists of...
Swarup Siddhi.
Yeah, it's finer.
Swarup Shakti.
So there, this energy is too dense. So something what is the most infinitesimal here, as Jiva, in Goloka Vrindavan, it's just too heavy for that place. It has to become even finer.
Yeah, by has the mercy of the Guru and the Lord has to come to take it up.
Yeah, so in that sense, the Brahman, Atma, Jiva, and the instrument in which we use here, and our conditioning and roles and relationships and all that. So
you're giving some, what do you call it, some structure, but obviously it's once you're here, you are covered by.
Yeah, and you're trying to use the acquired instrument, like intellect, to understand something which exists prior to formation of intellect. So that's why in that sense it's impossible. But we can kind of like see the causality, like what makes Brahman emanate all these particles, atmas, jivas. So the force from outside, from the spiritual world, they call it glance of Vishnu, the glance of Vishnu who's cast on the matter, his glance is Shambhu, Shiva, right? We hear that analogy, and that is what pushes Brahman to certain parts of Brahman to acquire individuality, like, oh, I exist. Because in the Brahman there is no individuality, there is oneness. And that individuality which jivas or atmas acquire, they are illusory individualities, because jiva or atma is always part of Brahman. But in some point we acquire this individuality, we feel ourselves to be different from so many other things. And the Guru, he can help to pass on through Brahman to the positive side without losing one's individuality. Because for a living entity to go back into Brahman, that would lead to self-forgetfulness and elimination of individuality, and which is sayujya mukti, liberation. So, but under the shelter of Vaishnava, the jiva, the conditioned jiva, can go back to Godhead, as Srila Prabhupada would say, and that's through Brahmajyoti, and without losing Kṛṣṇadāsa, without losing the individuality, but not individuality of faulty individuality, but real individuality, as if I'm a servant.
Mm.
So,
yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Shall we sing Hariyadai?
Hare Rama Krishna Jaya Shri Guru Gauranga Sundaratha Giridhari Ji ki jai. Jai Vishnupad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Gosvāmī Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnupad Bhakti Rakshak Śrīdhar Dev Gosvāmī Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vishnupad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Om Rupanuka Guru Varga ki jai. Jai Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Jai Sachi Devī ki jai. Ita Gaura Brahmanande Hari Hari Bol.